Welcome to this audiobook, a journey that will transform the way you approach conversations, decisions, and opportunities. Negotiation is not just about closing deals or winning arguments. It's about understanding people, creating value, and turning challenges into agreements that move lives and businesses forward. The title of this audiobook is Master the Art of Negotiation, written and published by ReadFlow Audiobook. In the chapters ahead, you will discover timeless principles, practical strategies, and actionable tools that will sharpen your influence and give you the confidence to walk into any discussion prepared, focused, and powerful. Whether you're negotiating in business, relationships, or everyday life, these lessons will help you create outcomes where everyone walks away with more than they expected. So, settle in, open your mind, and prepare yourself for the journey ahead. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Negotiation. Mindset, Purpose, and Preparation. Negotiation is a daily skill disguised as a dramatic boardroom event. Every exchange where value is moved, decisions are made, or relationships are shaped is a negotiation. The people who consistently win are not those who are naturally aggressive or endlessly charming. They're the ones who prepare, think clearly, and act with purpose. This chapter gives you the foundation, the mindset that keeps you steady, the ways to define what you really want, and a preparation system that turns uncertainty into control. The right mindset: curiosity, calm, and long-term thinking. Curiosity beats confrontation. Enter with questions more than answers. Curiosity helps you map the other party's needs and opens opportunities you couldn't see from your own perspective. Abundance beats scarcity. Assume there are multiple ways to create value. An abundance mindset reduces desperation, which improves choices and preserves leverage. Relationships matter. Aim for outcomes that preserve or strengthen trust where possible. Short-term wins at the cost of long-term relationships are rarely worth it. Stay calm, keep time for reflection, and don't let emotion hijack decision-making. Discipline in thinking, preparing, pausing, testing, beats spur-of-the-moment bravado. Use this three-part framework every time. Befouring: target outcome, what you want at best. A specific, measurable result. Example: a full-time salary of $95,000 with 2 weeks of paid vacation. Below this you walk away. Example: if salary is below $85,000 and no performance review in 6 months, I won't accept. Spend time improving your now before the negotiation. Action: write these 3 items on a single page before any negotiation. If you can't name your now, pause. Your position is weak. Preparation is power. Information, interests, and constraints. Successful negotiators treat negotiation as a project. Preparation reduces surprises. Interests, not positions. Ask why behind positions. What motivates the other side? Constraints, budget limits, deadlines, legal terms, cultural factors, stakeholders, who benefits, who votes, who can block. Alternatives, your now and likely alternatives for the other party. Walk-away triggers and red flags. Interest mapping exercise. 5 minutes. Draw 2 columns, their likely interests and my interests. Under each, list at least 5 items. This forces you to think beyond price and see options for trade. Communication fundamentals that create leverage. Ask calibrated questions. Use open, guiding questions. Help me understand the constraints you're working with. They invite information and reduce defensiveness. Listen to learn, not to reply. Active listening. Paraphrase, pause, and acknowledge. Yields information and builds rapport. Use silence strategically. After making an offer or asking a tough question, pause. People often fill silence with concessions or useful detail. Label emotions and priorities. Acknowledge feelings or concerns you detect. It sounds like timing is a major concern for you. Labeling lowers resistance. Frame, don't force. Reframe a problem as an opportunity for mutual gain. If we adjust X, we can both protect Y. Framing invites collaboration. Tactical openings, scripts that set the tone. You don't need to memorize long speeches. Use concise, tested openings. Buyer, seller, pricing. I like this and I want to find a way to make this work. Can you tell me what flexibility you have on price and delivery so we can get there? Salary. I'm excited about the role. Based on market research and my experience, I'm targeting $95,000. How are you thinking about compensation for someone at this level? Conflict. Relationship. I value our work together. I'd like honesty. What's the biggest concern you have about this proposal? Each script combines warmth with purpose. You declare intent, invite information, and open the door to option. Anchoring. Concession strategy and tempo. Anchoring. Your first number shapes the conversation. Make your anchor credible, backed by data or rationale, and slightly ambitious. The other side will typically move from there. Concession strategy. Never give everything at once. Trade concessions for something of value. If you must concede, ask for reciprocity. I can adjust X if you can do Y. Control tempo. Faster isn't always better. Slowing pace can create space for information and pressure the other side to reveal priority. Handling emotional dynamics and power shifts. Stay centered. Use breath and a short mental script. Focus on facts, not feelings, to avoid reactive moves. Name the dynamic. If the other side grows aggressive, say calmly, I want us both to be heard. Let's step back and focus on the problem. Leverage small wins. Secure incremental agreements. These build momentum and reduce the chance of collapse. Closing for commitment. Make agreements real. A good close secures clarity and prevents future friction. Summarize the agreement aloud. So, to confirm, we agreed on A, B and C with delivery by date. Convert into steps. Next actions. Owner's deadlines. Put it in writing. A short email that restates terms is often all you need to make things stick. Confirm contingencies. If some points are conditional, state the triggers clearly. Practical exercises and a 7-day starter plan. Daily micro practices, 10-15 minutes each. Day 1. Prepare a 1-page negotiation brief for an upcoming or hypothetical negotiation target. Reservation beata. Day 2. Practice asking calibrated questions. Record yourself or roleplay with a friend. Day 3. Roleplay, a short negotiation focusing on listening and labeling. Day 4. Build your concession ladder. List concessions you can make and what you expect in return. Day 5. Work on anchoring. Craft 2 credible anchors with supporting data. Day 6. Practice closing. Summarize and write a confirmation email for a mock deal. Day 7. Reflect and journal. What felt hard? What improved? What will you change next week? Roleplay checklist for practice partners. One person plays the other side realistically. Use real constraints. Use a 15-minute time box. Debrief. Each shares one thing that worked and one area to improve. Title, date, target outcome, reservation point, date, beatata, T facts and numbers, top 3 questions to ask the other side. Concessions I can offer and what I want in return. I want us both to reach a fair outcome. Can we start by clarifying priorities and constraints? The calm power you bring into a negotiation rooted in clarity, a strong beatana, and a curiosity-first approach creates options. Treat every negotiation as a learning lab. Gather data, refine your scripts, and strengthen your identity as someone who negotiates with integrity and effectiveness. Action for today. Reframe your idea of negotiation. Instead of picturing it only in boardrooms or high-stakes deals, notice the daily micro-negotiations you're already having with colleagues, clients, family, and even yourself. Key takeaway. Negotiation isn't about manipulation or confrontation. It's about alignment. It's the art of finding common ground while advancing your interests. By viewing negotiation as a natural, everyday skill rather than a rare, high-pressure event, you open the door to mastering it with confidence and clarity. Chapter 2: The Psychology of Negotiation. Reading minds, shaping perceptions, and influencing outcomes. If Chapter 1 gave you the practical foundations, this chapter gives you the psychological edge. Negotiation is as much about understanding people as it is about numbers or terms. When you learn how people think, decide, and react under pressure, you gain leverage that pure data cannot provide. Mastering psychology allows you to read the room, shape perception, and guide outcomes in your favor, while still creating trust. Why psychology matters in every negotiation. It's not the objective value that matters most, but how each side perceives value, fairness, and power. Trust is currency. The more the other party trusts you, the more they'll reveal, the more flexible they'll be, and the more they'll accept your proposals. Core psychological principles every negotiator must know. Anchoring effect. The first number or position thrown into the conversation exerts a powerful pull, even if it's extreme. Use this to set the stage, but also guard against it when others anchor you. Reciprocity principle. Humans are wired to return favors. Small gestures of goodwill, like sharing a useful fact or making a minor concession, create pressure on the other side to reciprocate. Scarcity effect. People assign more value to what's limited. Phrasing like "this offer is valid until Friday," or "we have only 2 slots left" increases urgency without needing aggression. Social proof. Humans follow the crowd, pointing to precedents. Other companies in your industry have chosen this model. Builds legitimacy and reduces resistance. Authority bias. People defer to experts. Presenting data, quoting respected sources, or positioning yourself as a specialist amplifies your influence. Loss aversion. Losses hurt more than equivalent gains. Framing the negotiation as avoiding a loss. If we delay, the cost will rise by 15%, creates stronger motivation than promising gains. Reading the other party. Emotional and behavioral cues, tone and language patterns. Hesitation, maybe, possibly, hidden concerns. Certainty words, definitely, always, firm positions. Shifts in tone, clue that emotion, not logic, is now driving the response. Micro-expressions, brief flashes of emotion, like a quick frown or smile, often reveal true feelings before they're concealed. Shaping perception, framing and reframing. Framing in your favor. Instead of saying "this product costs $10,000, say "this investment of $10,000 will save you $25,000 in the first year." Reframing resistance. If they say "your price is too high," respond, "compared to what? Let's look at the total value, not just the upfront cost." Creating contrast. Show a higher option first, then present your real offer. The second option feels more reasonable by comparison. Influence without manipulation. Building ethical persuasion. Use honesty as a strategy. People expect games, so when you are transparent about your needs and constraints, trust skyrockets. Highlight mutual win. Instead of "here's what I need," say "here's how this can benefit both of us." Protect long-term reputation. Remember, every negotiation plants seeds for the next one. Back it up with 2-3 supporting facts. Notice how it changes the other person's counter. Reframe resistance. Write down 3 common objections you hear, e.g., "that's too expensive." Craft reframes that shift focus back to value, not cost. Loss versus gain messaging. Take one proposal and write it 2 ways, once highlighting the gain, once highlighting the loss of not acting. Practice delivering both, and notice the emotional impact. Closing the chapter. The greatest negotiators aren't just tacticians, they are psychologists in motion. They don't manipulate, they observe, they frame, they guide, they know how people think and feel under pressure, and they use that knowledge to create agreements that stick. The truth is, people rarely remember the exact numbers of a negotiation, but they always remember how they felt during it. If you leave the other side feeling respected and understood, you'll not only win this deal, you'll create momentum for future opportunities. Action for today. The next time you have even a small negotiation, ordering services, adjusting deadlines, or discussing money practice, reframing objections and using loss aversion, small reps will make big negotiations feel natural. Key takeaway: negotiation success is rooted in psychology. People decide with emotions before they justify with logic. By mastering principles like anchoring, reciprocity, scarcity, and loss aversion, and by learning to read and shape perceptions, you gain the power to guide outcomes while maintaining trust. Chapter 3. The power of active listening in negotiation. When people think about negotiation, they often imagine who can talk the most, dominate the conversation, or craft the most persuasive argument. But here's a surprising truth. The best negotiators are often the best listeners. Active listening isn't simply sitting quietly while the other person speaks. It's a disciplined skill that allows you to understand, decode, and interpret not only words but also emotions, intentions, and underlying concerns. In negotiation, this skill becomes a superpower because most people enter conversations eager to be heard, but rarely experience what it feels like to be genuinely understood. Why active listening matters: uncovering hidden needs. Often people don't openly state their real priorities. They might disguise them behind requests, demands, or even posturing. For example, a client negotiating price might insist on discounts, but really care more about timely delivery or ongoing customer support. By listening carefully, you can hear what's beneath the surface. Recognizing these hidden needs allows you to propose solutions that resonate more deeply and make the deal harder for them to reject. Building rapid trust. Negotiations aren't just about facts and numbers, they are about human connection. When you listen actively, you show respect. You show that the other person's perspective matters. This simple act builds trust, and trust accelerates agreement. People naturally lean toward those who make them feel validated and respected. Gaining leverage through knowledge. Knowledge is leverage. The more you know about someone's true motivations, constraints, and priorities, the more you can shape your offers. Listening provides the map. Speaking without listening is walking blind. How to practice active listening in negotiation. Body language matters too. Lean slightly forward, maintain eye contact, and nod occasionally. These subtle cues send a powerful signal: I am fully engaged with you. The strategic pause. Silence is not your enemy, it's your ally. Many negotiators rush to respond the moment the other person finishes speaking, but skilled negotiators use the pause. After the other side speaks, wait a few seconds. This pause often encourages them to keep talking, revealing more information they hadn't planned to share. Paraphrase and reflect back. Use phrases like, "So what I'm hearing is," or "It sounds like what's most important to you." This technique has two effects. It confirms that you understood them correctly, and it makes them feel deeply acknowledged. When people feel heard, they lower their guard and become more flexible. Ask open-ended questions. Closed questions lead to short answers. Open-ended questions open doors. Instead of asking, "Is cost your biggest concern?" ask, "What's most important to you in this deal?" Instead of "Do you agree with this proposal?" ask, "How do you see this proposal fitting your goals?" Open-ended questions are an invitation for the other party to reveal their thought process, and every revelation is an opportunity. Listen beyond the words. Words only tell part of the story. Tone, volume, pacing, and body language reveal the rest. A hesitant tone might signal doubt. A sudden shift in energy could point to excitement or hidden. Learning to read these subtle cues gives you access to layers of meaning that most negotiators miss. A less skilled negotiator might accept that as final and walk away or push harder, risking tension. But if you listen actively, you might notice hesitation in their voice when discussing delivery schedule. This could mean that while price flexibility is limited, they may be open to offering faster delivery times or bulk order incentives. By listening and probing further, you discover their true constraint is cash flow, not profit margin. Instead of forcing price reduction, you offer staggered payments. They get relief, and you get better terms. This is the hidden power of listening. Negotiation often triggers defensiveness. People come ready to protect their position, but when they feel genuinely heard, defensiveness dissolves. The human brain releases oxytocin when someone feels understood, which builds rapport and trust. In essence, active listening changes the chemical environment of the conversation. It shifts the tone from confrontation to collaboration. And remember this: people don't always need agreement, but they do crave understanding. Even if you can't give them everything they want, the fact that you've truly listened creates goodwill that can carry the negotiation forward. By slowing down, asking the right questions, reflecting their words, and paying attention to tone and body language, you gather intelligence, build trust, and uncover hidden leverage. The negotiator who listens more often controls the conversation without appearing to. Chapter 4. Mastering the Art of Body Language in Negotiation. Words matter in negotiation, but they're not the whole story. In fact, research suggests that over 70% of communication is non-verbal. Your posture, gestures, eye movements, and even subtle facial expressions communicate volumes before you say a word. And in negotiation, these signals can either strengthen your position or undermine it completely. Mastering body language is like learning a second language, one that runs beneath the surface of every interaction. When you learn to control what you project and read what others unconsciously reveal, you gain an enormous advantage. Why body language matters in negotiation. For example, saying "I'm confident in this offer" while avoiding eye contact or fidgeting sends mixed signals. Skilled negotiators will notice the doubt and exploit it. Reading what others won't admit. People often try to conceal their true feelings, but their bodies betray them. A quick glance away, tightened lips, or crossed arms can signal discomfort, resistance, or hidden disagreement. Catching these signals early lets you adapt your strategy in real time. Influencing through presence. Your body language doesn't just reveal what you feel, it influences how others perceive you. By mastering confident posture, steady gestures, and controlled facial expressions, you project authority without needing to oversell. The essentials of powerful body language: posture and positioning. Sit or stand tall with shoulders back. This communicates confidence. Avoid slouching or shrinking into your seat, as it signals insecurity. Subtly mirror the other person's posture. It creates a sense of rapport and harmony, making them more likely to agree with you. Eye contact. Eye contact is balance. You don't want to stare aggressively, nor do you want to avoid it altogether. A steady, calm gaze shows confidence and honesty. Break eye contact occasionally to avoid intimidation, but never look down when making a strong point. It suggests doubt. Gestures. Keep gestures open and controlled. Open palms signal honesty and transparency. Pointing fingers or chopping motions can appear aggressive. Use your hands sparingly, but deliberately, to emphasize key points. Facial expressions. A relaxed, composed expression sets the tone of calm authority. A subtle smile, especially when first greeting someone, can disarm tension. However, be aware of micro-expressions, like tightening your jaw or raising your eyebrows. They can betray impatience or frustration. Proxemics. Use of space. How you manage physical space matters. Sitting too far away may signal disinterest. Crowding someone can feel confrontational. Position yourself at a comfortable but assertive distance. If possible, sit at a diagonal instead of directly opposite. It makes the interaction feel collaborative rather than combative. Reading the other party's signals. Learning to read body language is as important as mastering your own. Some cues to watch for: crossed arms, resistance, defensiveness, or discomfort. Leaning forward, interest and engagement. Feet pointed toward the exit, desire to leave or disengagement. Touching face or neck, anxiety, nervousness or uncertainty. Sudden stillness, possible concealment of information or emotional reaction. When you notice these cues, don't confront them directly. Instead, adjust your approach. For example, if someone crosses their arms, you might soften your tone, ask an open-ended question, or shift the topic slightly to ease tension. Real-world example. Picture a salary negotiation between an employee and a manager. The manager says, "We really value you, but the budget is tight." At first glance it sounds final, but if you notice the manager avoiding eye contact and tapping their pen nervously, these signals suggest discomfort. They may have more room to negotiate, but feel pressured to hold the company line. By calmly holding your posture and asking, "What flexibility is there in other areas, such as bonuses or professional development?" you keep the conversation alive and may unlock hidden opportunity. The psychological edge. When body language aligns with your words, it creates congruence. Congruence builds credibility, and credibility strengthens influence. On the other hand, incongruence, when words and body don't match, creates doubt. People may not consciously know why they distrust you, but their instincts pick it up. Equally, when you decode incongruence in the other party, you see through the facade. That glimpse beneath their mask allows you to steer the negotiation more effectively. Key takeaway: body language is negotiation in motion. It reveals confidence, insecurity, truth, and hidden resistance, sometimes more powerfully than words. By mastering your own signals and decoding others, you gain a silent but decisive edge. The negotiator who understands the unspoken language of the body doesn't just participate in the conversation, they control its direction. Chapter 5. The Power of Active Listening in Negotiation. If there is one skill that instantly sets apart great negotiators from average ones, it is active listening. Too many people enter negotiations focused only on what they want to say, on making their argument, pushing their agenda, or proving their point. But negotiation is not about who talks the most, it's about who understands the other side best. Listening, real, focused, intentional listening, is one of the most underestimated tools in your arsenal. It not only helps you gather valuable information but also builds trust, reduces resistance, and makes the other person feel respected. Why listening is more powerful than talking. Most people believe that negotiation is about being persuasive, about delivering the perfect pitch, or about winning the conversation. But persuasion is not just about what you say, it's about what you hear. Here's why listening often trumps talking. Information asymmetry is the real power. The side with more information has the upper hand. Every time you talk, you give information away. Every time you listen, you gather information. Great negotiators know that controlling the flow of information means controlling the negotiation. Talking can trigger resistance. When you talk too much, the other party feels pressured or even defensive. But when you listen, you create space for them to open up. This openness leads them to reveal their motivations, fears, and boundaries, things you can later use to craft a winning solution. Listening disarms tension. Negotiations often begin with tension. One side wants one thing, the other side wants another. But when you listen attentively, you shift the energy from confrontation to collaboration. It signals that you're not here to bulldoze them, you're here to understand them. That alone reduces friction. Listening helps you see what they don't say. The majority of human communication is nonverbal. When you dominate the conversation with your words, you miss tone, hesitation, or body language. But when you step back and observe, you notice the pauses, the nervous laughter, the quick shifts in tone, clues to what really matters to them. Listening makes people feel valued. Humans crave recognition. When you listen, you're giving recognition. Your words matter. Your perspective matters. This psychological reward increases their goodwill toward you, and people are far more likely to agree with those who make them feel important. Here are the essential skills to cultivate. Mastering silence. Silence is not empty. It's full of opportunity. When you allow silence after they speak, most people feel the urge to fill it, often revealing more than they intended. In negotiation, a few seconds of silence can bring out hidden constraints, emotions, or concessions. Example: so what you're saying is that delivery time is more critical than price. Did I understand that correctly? This not only confirms understanding but makes them feel deeply heard, which strengthens trust. Asking open-ended questions. Closed questions limit information. Instead of "is this the best you can do?" ask "what factors influenced this offer?" Open-ended questions invite storytelling, explanation, and detail, all gold in negotiation. Listening between the lines. Pay attention to how something is said, not just what is said. Tone, speed, and emphasis are like underlined text in spoken conversation. For instance, if someone quickly brushes over cost but dwells on timing, it signals that time is the true pain point. Note the repetition. People reveal priorities by what they repeat. If they circle back to quality multiple times, it's a key issue. Listening for these patterns allows you to reshape your offer around their unspoken hierarchy of needs. Validating without agreeing. Phrases like, "I see why that matters to you," or "that makes sense from your perspective." Validate their feelings without conceding. This builds rapport while still protecting your position. Eliminating distractions. True listening requires full presence. Put away the phone. Resist the urge to mentally rehearse your counterargument. The best negotiators have the discipline to quiet their own inner chatter and focus fully on the other person. Summarizing strategically. Before transitioning, summarize. "So we agree that timeline is fixed. Quality is crucial, and budget is the challenge. Let's explore solutions within those parameters." Summaries position you as both attentive and in control of the conversation structure. Real-world example. Imagine negotiating a job offer. You're eager to secure a higher salary, but instead of immediately demanding more, you listen carefully. The recruiter mentions almost casually, "We've been struggling to retain talent in this role because of the workload." That's your signal. Instead of pressing only for salary, you ask, "Would additional support or adjusted hours be possible along with compensation?" Suddenly, you've opened the door to multiple benefits: better salary, reduced workload, or added perks, simply by listening for what wasn't emphasized directly. The psychological edge. Active listening creates a sense of partnership, not competition. By giving the other person space to express themselves fully, you lower their defenses and increase their willingness to cooperate. This is why the negotiator who speaks the least often controls the outcome the most. Key takeaway: active listening is the secret weapon of master negotiators. By gathering more information than you give away, observing tone and nonverbal cues, asking open-ended questions, and validating perspectives, you transform negotiation from a battle of words into a strategy of intelligence. The one who listens more deeply always wins more decisive. Chapter 6. The role of emotional intelligence in negotiation. If logic and strategy are the skeleton of negotiation, emotional intelligence, EQ, is the lifeblood that animates it. While facts, figures, and arms can set the foundation, it's emotions that drive human decisions. People may justify their choices with logic, but they make those choices with emotion. Understanding, managing, and leveraging emotions, both yours and theirs, is what separates competent negotiators from true masters. What emotional intelligence really means in negotiation. Emotional intelligence isn't about being soft or overly empathetic. It's about awareness, being able to read the emotional currents in the room, regulate your own reactions, and strategically influence the emotional state of others. In negotiation, EQ manifests in 5 dimensions. If you know that impatience or frustration clouds your judgment, you can prevent those emotions from sabotaging you. Self-regulation, the ability to pause, breathe, and stay calm under pressure. A negotiator who can maintain composure while the other side becomes emotional automatically gains power. Motivation, having a clear internal drive keeps you persistent when the negotiation gets tough. It also projects confidence, which others interpret as credibility. Empathy, understanding the feelings of the other side, not just their words. Empathy reveals hidden motives, their fears, insecurities, or values. Social skills, building rapport, influencing tone, and managing relationships long-term. Good negotiation is not just about this deal, but about the doors it opens for future deals, or perhaps one where the mood was relaxed and collaborative. High EQ negotiators don't ignore these signals, they adapt to them. If the other side is tense, they diffuse it with calmness. If the energy is open, they lean into collaboration. Controlling your reactions. The quickest way to lose leverage is to react emotionally. Anger makes you impulsive, fear makes you submissive, and excitement makes you reckless. By mastering EQ, you learn to pause before reacting, creating a buffer that allows for strategic responses instead of emotional outbursts. Influencing emotional states. Emotion is contagious. If you stay calm, the other side often mirrors your calm. If you display quiet confidence, they sense credibility. Skilled negotiators even use warmth, humor, or pauses intentionally to guide the emotional direction of the conversation, building trust through empathy. When someone feels understood, they are more likely to trust you. By listening empathetically and acknowledging emotions, you turn adversaries into collaborators. For example, I understand how important stability is for your team. Let's explore solutions that ensure that such statements reduce resistance dramatically. Avoiding emotional manipulation. Not all emotions come from you. Some negotiators will deliberately try to manipulate by raising their voice, showing frustration, or feigning urgency. High EQ allows you to see these tactics for what they are and remain unshaken. Practical strategies to build EQ in negotiation. Labeling emotions. Simply naming an emotion diffuses its intensity. Example: it sounds like you're frustrated about the timeline. By verbalizing it, you validate them while also bringing clarity to the conversation. Reframing negative energy. Instead of absorbing anger or tension, redirect it. Example: if someone says, "Your offer is ridiculous," you can respond with, "I hear your concern. Let's break it down together and see where the gaps are." You convert conflict into problem solving. Empathy mapping. Ask yourself, what is this person thinking, feeling, afraid of, hoping for? This structured exercise helps you anticipate their emotional drivers and craft proposals that appeal to more than logic. Controlling your state before entering. Don't walk into a negotiation flustered. Use rituals, deep breathing, power posing, affirmations to center yourself. A composed presence communicates authority before you even speak. Real-world example. Picture a business deal where one side becomes visibly frustrated about deadlines. A low EQ negotiator might snap back or defend their stance aggressively, escalating tension. A high EQ negotiator instead leans in. "I can tell deadlines are a major concern for you. What would an ideal timeline look like on your end?" This acknowledgement immediately shifts the emotional tone. Instead of fighting against each other, the conversation pivots toward collaboration. The deeper psychological advantage. Remember this: humans don't like to feel controlled, but they love to feel understood. Emotional intelligence gives you the ability to make others feel understood, while still guiding the outcome in your favor. When both logic and emotion align, agreements become stronger, smoother, and more sustainable. By mastering your emotions and tuning into the emotions of others, you gain control of the atmosphere, build trust effortlessly, and prevent manipulation. EQ is not just a soft skill, it's a hard advantage that turns tense conversations into powerful agreement. Chapter 7: The Power of Preparation and Planning. It has been said that negotiation is won or lost before you ever enter the room. This statement is profoundly true. While charisma, emotional intelligence, and communication skills are vital, none of them can compensate for poor preparation. The best negotiators treat preparation as their secret weapon. They walk into the room with clarity, confidence, and contingency plans, while their counterparts scramble to improvise. Preparation doesn't just give you information, it gives you leverage. The side that knows more, anticipates better, and plans deeper almost always shapes the outcome. Why preparation is your greatest advantage. Information creates power. The more you know about the other party's situation, the better you can frame your offers in ways that meet their hidden needs. Confidence comes from clarity. When you know your facts, you don't second-guess yourself. That inner certainty becomes visible to the other side. Preparation reveals leverage. Careful research often uncovers weak points or urgent needs the other side has. This knowledge can tip the balance. Preparation prevents manipulation. Anticipating tactics ahead of time prevents you from being caught off guard or pressured into bad deals. The essential steps of preparation. Elaborated. Define your objectives clearly. Don't enter a negotiation with vague hopes. Write down exactly what you want. For instance, a specific price range or fee, a deadline extension. Be clear on your must-haves versus your nice-to-haves. This clarity prevents you from sacrificing sessionals when pressure rises. Know your BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Your BATNA is your strongest form of leverage. If you know you can walk away to a good alternative, you negotiate from a place of power. For example, if you're selling your house and you already have 2 other offers, your confidence skyrockets. Always ask yourself, if this deal fails, what's my next best option? Research the other party thoroughly. Preparation means doing your homework, professional background, their role, authority level, and decision-making power, business situation, their company's market position, competitors, and financial health, psychological clues, their personality style, communication patterns, and negotiation history if available. This research gives you foresight into what motivates them and where their limits may lie. Anticipate objections and questions. Every negotiation has sticking points. Prepare responses for the most likely ones. For example, objection: your product is too expensive. Response: I understand your concern. Let me show you how our solution saves money long-term by reducing maintenance costs. Response: that's important to us too. Here are 3 ways we can adjust timelines without compromising quality. Thinking ahead gives you control in the moment. Plan multiple scenarios. Always prepare for more than one outcome. Best case, they agree to everything you want. Likely case, you reach a middle ground where both sides compromise. Worst case, you walk away but still with dignity and a backup plan. Visualizing these scenarios helps you stay calm and flexible. Tools and techniques for preparation. Expanded SWOT analysis. Create a chart analyzing both your position and theirs. Strengths: what advantages do you bring? Weaknesses: where are you vulnerable? Opportunities: what unique openings exist for collaboration? Threats: what external risks could undermine the negotiation? This simple tool brings clarity and balance. Negotiation journal. Keep a personal record of every negotiation. After each one, note what went well, what went poorly, which tactics worked, which tactics failed. Over time, you build a personalized playbook that sharpens your instincts. Role-play practice. Nothing prepares you better than practice. Ask a trusted colleague or mentor to play the role of your counterpart and challenge you with tough objections. This not only prepares your answers, but also conditions you to stay calm under pressure. Information matrix. Create a table with 3 columns. What I know, confirmed facts, budgets, deadlines, roles. What I assume, information you think is true but need to verify. What I need to find out, critical gaps that could affect the deal. This framework keeps you focused on seeking clarity before and during the negotiation. My BA Tina is strong and ready. I've researched the other party. I've prepared responses to objections. I've planned multiple outcomes. Such systems ensure consistency and prevent overlooked detail. Unprepared salesperson walks in with enthusiasm but no data. When challenged on pricing, they stumble, concede too quickly, and lose profit. Prepared salesperson brings competitor comparisons, testimonials, and a cost savings breakdown. They anticipate the pricing objection and counter with proof of long-term value. The client, reassured by evidence, agrees. Preparation didn't just make the second salesperson persuasive, it made them unshakable. Actionable habits. Block out dedicated prep time before every negotiation. Use checklists so nothing is missed. Build a habit of post-negotiation reflection. Treat preparation as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Key takeaway: preparation is your silent advantage. It arms you with information, strengthens your confidence, and protects you from being manipulated. The negotiator who prepares doesn't just react to the conversation, they control its direction. Chapter 8. The role of emotional intelligence in negotiation. When most people think of negotiation, they imagine logic, strategy, and numbers. They picture a battle of arguments, facts, and tactics. But in truth, the negotiators who consistently achieve the best results are those who master something far more subtle, yet infinitely powerful: emotional intelligence, EQ. Negotiation isn't only an exchange of proposals, it's an exchange of human emotions. People rarely make decisions based purely on logic. They decide with emotions first, then justify with logic afterward. This means if you ignore emotions, yours and theirs, you miss the very foundation on which agreements are built. Why emotional intelligence is essential in negotiation. Trust is built through empathy. When someone feels heard, understood, and respected, They become more open to compromise. Emotional intelligence is the bridge that builds this trust. Control determines power. Losing your temper or appearing desperate weakens your position. Staying calm and measured communicates strength. Adaptability creates advantage. Every person is different. The negotiator who can read the room and adapt their tone, timing, and approach instantly has the upper hand. The core components of emotional intelligence in negotiation. Before any negotiation, ask yourself, what emotions do I expect to feel, and how will I manage them? Techniques. Pause before responding. Breathe deeply and reframe heated comments as opportunities instead of attacks. Example. Instead of snapping at a lowball offer, say, I see where you're coming from. Let's explore the value behind this proposal. Empathy. The ability to understand the other side's feelings and perspectives. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with them, it means acknowledging their perspective so they feel respected. Example. If the other party is anxious about risk, you don't dismiss it. You introduce guarantees, warranties, or assurances. Social awareness. Reading the non-verbal signals, body language, tone of voice, hesitations. Sometimes what's not said is more revealing than what's spoken. Example. A client says, that could work, but crosses their arms and avoids eye contact. This signals doubt, not agreement. Relationship management. Emotional intelligence allows you to close deals that strengthen, not damage future relationships. Reflect their words back. So what you're saying is delivery speed is your main concern, correct? This validates their feelings. Use empathetic language. Replace confrontational language with collaborative framing. Instead of that's not acceptable, say, I understand your concern. Let's look at how we can make this work for both of us. Manage your emotional state before negotiation. Observe more than you speak. Pay attention to pauses, sighs, frowns, or hesitation. Often, emotions leak through micro-expressions before words reveal the truth. Mirror emotions strategically. Subtly matching tone and body language can create rapport. But be genuine. Forced mirroring feels manipulative and backfires. The atmosphere turns cold and the deal collapses. Negotiator B listens patiently, validates concerns, and addresses them with empathy. Even though their offer is not the cheapest, trust is built. The deal is signed. The difference wasn't the numbers, it was emotional intelligence. Emotional traps to avoid. Reacting out of ego. Trying to win every point often kills collaboration. Suppressing emotions entirely. Being robotic makes you appear detached and untrustworthy. Over-identifying with empathy. Understanding emotions doesn't mean surrendering your objectives. Balance empathy with firmness. Actionable habits. Begin each negotiation by silently asking, what is this person feeling right now? Keep a calm tone, even when pressured. Build a reputation as someone people enjoy negotiating with, not someone they fear. Reflect after each negotiation. Which emotions influence the outcome most? By mastering self-awareness, empathy, and emotional control, you gain influence over the most powerful factor in any deal, human emotion. Chapter 9. Closing the deal. Sealing agreements with confidence. You've navigated preparation, built trust, listened actively, and managed emotions with intelligence. Now comes the critical stage where many negotiators falter: closing the deal. Closing is not about manipulation or rushing to the finish line. It's about bringing all the threads together in a way that satisfies both sides, reinforces trust, and ensures the agreement actually sticks. Closing is where your discipline, strategy, and emotional intelligence converge. Think of it as landing a plane. You can't just circle forever, and you can't crash land. You must descend smoothly, with clarity and control. Why closing is so important. Avoids uncertainty. Without a clear close, misunderstandings creep in. Deals unravel later because details were left vague. Reinforces value. The closing stage is when you restate and cement the value both sides gain. It ensures the agreement feels like a win, not a compromise. Prevents last-minute hesitation. If you don't handle closing with confidence, the other party may stall, backtrack, or reconsider. Builds long-term trust. A well-structured close leaves the other side feeling respected, not pressured, making future negotiations easier. Principles of effective closing: clarity over assumptions. Spell everything out clearly: numbers, dates, responsibilities, and follow-up actions. Don't assume they understood your intentions. Precision prevents conflict later. Summarize the agreement. Reiterate the points both sides agreed upon, using clear and positive language. Example: so to recap, you'll receive the delivery within 3 weeks, with a 2-year service warranty included, and in return the first installment will be transferred upon delivery. Secure commitment. Ask for confirmation directly, not aggressively but firmly. Example: does this reflect what you feel is fair and workable for both sides? Address final concerns calmly. If hesitation arises, don't push. Acknowledge it and resolve it. Example: I hear your concern about timelines. Let's explore whether we can adjust delivery by a week without affecting quality. Create a next step immediately. Closing isn't complete until you've defined what happens next, whether it's signing, sending paperwork, or scheduling a follow-up. Get commitment in action, not just words. Methods of closing. The summary close. Recap all benefits in a concise statement, showing how the deal meets their needs. The if-then close. Frame conditional agreements. If we can guarantee delivery by the 15th, would you be ready to move forward today? The trial close. Use gentle questions to test readiness. How does this solution feel to you so far? This lets you adjust before finalizing. The direct close. When the relationship is strong and trust is established, simply ask, shall we move forward? Common mistakes in closing. Expanded. Even skilled negotiators can lose everything in the final stretch if they mishandle the closing. This stage is delicate. It requires balance between confidence and patience. Let's break down the most frequent mistakes and why they matter. 1. Rushing the close. Many negotiators, excited to finalize the deal, rush through the last steps. They press too hard, talk too fast, or jump straight to paperwork without allowing the other party to feel comfortable. This pressure often leads to resistance, or worse, buyer's remorse. How to avoid it? Slow down. Treat closing like building a bridge of trust, not slamming a door shut. Allow silence, ask clarifying questions, and make sure the other party feels ready. 2. Leaving loose ends. One of the biggest causes of failed deals is vagueness, unclear payment terms, undefined deadlines, or responsibilities left for later. What seems small now becomes a source of dispute later. How to avoid it? Always write down exact details: who delivers, who pays, by when, under what conditions. A deal without specifics is like a house without a foundation. It won't stand. 3. Over-conceding at the last minute. Some negotiators, fearing the deal might collapse, give away too much at the closing table. They slash prices, add bonuses, or bend timelines unnecessarily. This creates 2 problems. It weakens the value of the agreement. It signals insecurity, making the other side doubt your strength. How to avoid it? Stand firm on the value you've already proven. If concessions must be made, tie them to reciprocal gains. If we extend the timeline, let's also adjust the payment schedule to reflect the additional resources required. Fear of asking for commitment. Surprisingly, many negotiators hesitate when it's time to actually ask, shall we move forward? They dance around the close, hoping the other party will finalize it themselves. This often results in deals lingering in limbo. How to avoid it? Train yourself to ask directly, with confidence and calm, not pushy, not timid, just clear. Example: it seems we're aligned. Are you ready to move forward so we can begin right away? 5. Failing to read emotional cues. Closing isn't just logical, it's emotional. If the other side feels uncertain, pressured, or unheard, they may retreat even if the terms are favorable. Ignoring hesitation, discomfort, or silence is a critical mistake. How to avoid it? Pay attention to body language, tone, and pause. If you sense doubt, pause and address it. I sense you're holding back a bit. What concern can we address together? 6. Talking too much after agreement. This mistake is surprisingly common. After both sides say yes, some negotiators keep talking, trying to reinforce the deal, justify themselves or over-explain. In doing so, they often plant new doubts, or even reopen issues that were already settled. How to avoid it? Once the agreement is made, stop selling, confirm, summarize, and move to next steps. Confidence is shown not by endless talking, but by knowing when to close your mouth. 7. Failing to lock in the next step. Another subtle mistake is treating verbal agreement as the finish line. Without immediate action, signatures, emails, calendar invites, the deal loses momentum and risks falling apart later. How to avoid it? Always end with a clear next step. I'll send over the contract within the hour. Once you've signed, we'll schedule the kickoff meeting for Tuesday. Closing with a win-lose tone. Some negotiators make the mistake of celebrating their own victory rather than the shared success. Phrases like "I got what I wanted" or "we managed to lock this in" leave the other side feeling taken advantage of, even if the terms were fair. How to avoid it? Always close with collaboration, not conquest. End with language like "I'm glad we found a solution that works well for both of us. I look forward to our partnership." Why these mistakes matter? A negotiation can be 95% successful and still collapse in the final 5% if you mishandle the close. Remember, closing is not just a step. It's the seal that determines whether your effort creates value or evaporates into nothing. Key takeaway: closing the deal is not about forcing agreement. It's about sealing trust. The best closers don't pressure. They clarify, reinforce value, and lead both sides to a confident commitment. A strong close is the final brushstroke that completes the masterpiece of your negotiation. Chapter 10. Becoming a Master Negotiator. The journey ahead. Negotiation is not just about getting the best deal at the table, it's about shaping your future, influencing others with integrity, and creating win-win solutions that last. By now you've learned the mindset, the preparation, the strategies, and the subtle skills that define powerful negotiators. But this is not the end. It's the beginning of your journey toward mastery. The big picture of negotiation. Every negotiation you enter into, whether with your boss, your partner, your client, or even yourself, is a reflection of your standards and your level of self-awareness. The true masters don't just negotiate contracts, they negotiate life. When you raise your ability to influence, you elevate your capacity to lead. And when you approach negotiation with empathy, clarity, and confidence, you create outcomes that not only serve your interests, but also build trust, respect, and long-term value. Bringing all the skills together, let's recall the pillars you've been building throughout this audiobook. Mindset of clarity and confidence, entering negotiations with the right psychology. Preparation and research, arming yourself with facts, options, and alternatives. Effective communication, using language that persuades, not pressures. Active listening, hearing what is said, unsaid, and between the lines. Tactics and strategies, knowing when to push, when to pause, and when to concede. Emotional intelligence, managing your reactions and reading the room with precision. At closing with power and grace, sealing agreements with clarity and trust. These are not isolated tools, they are interlocking gears in the machine of negotiation mastery. The more you practice them together, the more natural and unstoppable they become. 3. The path from competence to mastery. Mastery comes from deliberate practice. Don't just listen to these chapters once. Apply them. Every conversation, every deal, every moment of persuasion is your training ground. Start small. Negotiate a deadline extension, a service upgrade, or a small purchase. Reflect after each negotiation. Ask yourself, what did I do well? What can I improve? Stretch. Take on bigger, more complex negotiations as your confidence grows. Learn continuously. Study great negotiators, read widely, and refine your approach. The more you practice, the more these skills will become instinctive. The character of a true master negotiator. What separates the good from the great is not just skill, but character. True masters negotiate with integrity. They don't manipulate, they influence. They don't dominate, they collaborate, and they don't settle for short-term wins. They build long-term alliances, because at its core, negotiation is not about tricking others, it's about finding alignment, creating solutions, and leaving the table with stronger relationships than when you arrived. Your next chapter. Now it's your turn. You have the tools, the frameworks, and the mindset. But mastery will not come from listening alone. It comes from action. Every day presents opportunities to negotiate your time, your priorities, your resources, your agreements with others. Use them as practice grounds. Approach each one with intention. And remember, your ability to negotiate determines the quality of your life. You now hold the roadmap to negotiate with confidence, clarity, and power. The journey doesn't end here. It begins with the very next conversation you have. Step into it, not just as a participant, but as a master in training. Final words and encouragement. Thank you for listening to Master the Art of Negotiation, audiobook, written and published by ReadFlow Audiobook. If this journey has added value to your life, remember this: growth multiplies when shared. So if you found this audiobook powerful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who are ready to raise their influence and master negotiation. Because together, we don't just negotiate better deals, we build better futures.